Hey, welcome. It's Desiree Stafford, and I will help you get out of your own way so that you can create the financial and time freedom that you've been craving. So today I'm excited to talk to you about goals. What happens if you didn't achieve your goals in Q1 and we're starting Q2 and you're starting to feel this, maybe sense of loss of momentum. Maybe you're starting to feel a little bit doubtful that you're going to achieve maybe your six or your multi-six-figure business this year. And you're looking for some support around that. Like, what can you do to make sure that you totally own the rest of 2017, even if you fell short of achieving your goals in Q1, all right? So that's what we're talking about today, right? Because if you don't get this addressed, what ends up happening is, it becomes like a self-defeating prophecy. Like, you keep setting goals, you keep not hitting the goals, and you don't know why, you get frustrated, and then nothing really changes, all right? So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you master your psychology. In other words, that you're really paying attention to your thoughts and your feelings. This is so important, right? This is really important. And somehow it seems like people who are really successful offline, when we come online, we tend to forget that stuff, right? It's just a different animal. So you really want to make sure that you're mastering your psychology, because if you don't, what can happen if you experience setback after setback, you've set a goal and you fail to achieve it? What happens is, over time, we create what I like to call negative momentum. So our thoughts then automatically start, looking for what's going to go wrong instead of what can go right. And we start to miss opportunities that are everywhere. There's another term for this, right? And it's called psychological reversal, which happens when you create a sense of trauma around not achieving your goals over and over again. And so it's almost as if you're sabotaging yourself. You're showing up every day, you're taking action, you're doing what you're supposed to do, but you're still not getting the result. And the longer this goes on, the longer you continue down this path, what ends up happening is, again, you start to doubt whether or not you're ever going to achieve that goal. And it's not that you can't, but if you don't get this handled, if you don't master your psychology, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work, you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. You're going to feel like you keep hitting this income ceiling, but you're not able to break through, right? So we want to stop that. So the first thing is that you need to understand when this is happening, and you can understand when this is happening by monitoring what you're thinking, what you're feeling at any given time, right? Particularly around the times when things don't go your way, when there are setbacks, when there are missteps, and when there are failures and all that kind of stuff. Like, really get a handle on that. The second thing you need to do is understand how to release it, okay? So one of the things that I help my clients with is breaking through this stuff, like breaking through this pattern, understanding it, recognizing it, and then taking the next step. So two of the tools that I share with my clients on how to support themselves in between our coaching sessions is, number one, to visualize yourself achieving whatever that goal is for you. Now, you may have heard this before, but if you're not achieving your results, you're probably not doing this consistently, or maybe you're not doing it effectively. But the power of visualization is that it really allows you to retrain your brain. It allows you to what we call, practice like a mental rehearsal of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in advance, so that you're training your brain to have that experience, okay? And that will allow you or support you in attracting the ideas, the resources, the people, or whatever it is that you need in order to make that goal that you have for yourself a reality. So that's number one. The second thing that I absolutely love to do, and really encourage my clients to do this as well, is to clear the negative emotions. Because when we have negative emotions around not achieving a goal, we can carry that. Like they fester and they foster beliefs that do not support us, right? So what you want to do is release that. And one of the most effective tools that I know for doing that is tapping, or EFT. Okay, and there's a ton of resources out there that you can use in order to start this practice, to start releasing the negative emotions. Okay, because if you don't, then that psychological reversal, it's not going to change itself, right? It's not going to just go away by itself, right? So I would recommend those two things. And when I teach my clients, how to do the tapping and stuff, like, I'm not an EFT practitioner, but I do show my clients the method that I use in order to really get the most out of this activity. And it works wonders, and it can change things for you in a matter of days, sometimes weeks, okay? The second thing that you want to do is, if you've set a goal for Q1 and you haven't been able to achieve it, what I would advise you to do, what I would strongly recommend that you do, is you look at every time you did not achieve the goal, every time you experience something that you perceive to be a failure, look for the lesson in that experience, okay? This is, again, something that we don't often do. We don't often take the time to be really introspective and say, okay, well, I didn't achieve the goal. Okay, what is the lesson here? What can I learn from this? Because there's so much information available to you, right? If you're available, like if you're open to seeing that information, if you make yourself available to the knowledge that's being given to you, right? The lessons that you can learn through every experience. Now, I will share with you, for me, impatience is a lesson that I continue to, or patience is a lesson that I continue to have to learn, right? I know to be patient, and I'm patient with certain things, and then there's some things I'm not always patient with, right? I'm not always at my best. And I had an experience not too long ago that really brought that lesson home to me all over again, right? I thought I mastered it, and then here it came back up. I took myself out for dinner, and I was really excited. I had a reservation at my favorite place in town, and I wanted to get there on time. So I, got down to the city. I left myself plenty of time to find parking, but then riding around for about 20 minutes or so, my reservation, it's coming up, and I'm starting to feel the pressure and the panic, right? Then all of a sudden I have to use the bathroom, and it's rush hour, and I don't see a parking spot, and the frustration starts to kick in. The whole time, the whole drive down there, I keep saying to myself, I trust I'm going to get a parking spot right away. I know this is supposed to happen for me, because that's typically what my experience is, because I plan for it in advance, right? So that's typically the experience that I have. This particular day, I had all this other stuff going on in my head, and then I wasn't as patient as I would have liked to have been. And with all the added pressure, and seeing other people come out of their parking spots, and I miss it by a second, then I start to backtrack. I start to lose my faith, and I start to think, gosh, is this really going to happen? I ended up parking about 7 blocks away, okay? In pure frustration, by the way. I had to call and push my reservation back and everything. And I parked about 7 blocks away, and I'm not happy. And I'm walking to the restaurant, and within a 2-block radius of the restaurant, there are literally about 5 spots open and available that I could have parked in. They weren't there before, but they were there as I was walking to the restaurant. And I got into the restaurant, and I just took a breath, and I'm like, what's the lesson here? Because being upset about it wasn't going to serve me, right? What could I learn from that experience? And when I thought about it, I was like, this is like, the lesson here is to be patient, to not allow your eyes to deceive you, which is what I teach people all the time. Do not allow your eyes to deceive you, right? But I did. I fell backwards, and I allowed my eyes to deceive me, and I allowed all the pressure I was feeling, from my body and not seeing the spots to then cause me to doubt, or I chose to doubt, that I was going to get a spot, right? And so I ended up parking 7 blocks away, which wasn't terrible. I could have used the exercise. But the point is that I stopped believing that I was going to get the spot. And that's what caused me to park so far away and have to walk all the way back to the restaurant. And so once I got the lesson, I released the frustration. I released, not being happy about the situation. I was actually pretty grateful that I learned that lesson. And what I'm saying to you is there are always lessons. There's always an opportunity for us to learn something in every single experience that we have, whether we perceive it a positive experience or we perceive it negative, right? But you've got to be willing to look for it. And that's the only way you'll be able to find it, all right? So that's the second tip. Use every failure, use every mistake, use every setback, and look for the lesson there, okay? Because there's always a lesson if you're willing to look for it, all right? The third thing is I want you to assess your goals, okay? Sometimes when you create a goal, the goal's simply not big enough for you. So you're not going to get excited about the goal. So you're not going to really put the energy or effort into, doing what you need to do to attract the people, the resources, the whatever you need in order to attain that goal. So you want to assess the goal and make sure it's really what you desire, and make sure that, it's as big as what you want. Hey, Isabel, how are you? The second thing is sometimes the goal is, too big. Right? Maybe you don't have enough resources in order for you to actually attain the goal with ease, without burning yourself out, without driving yourself crazy. So you want to make sure that you're assessing the goal to see whether it's too aggressive for you, maybe it's not aggressive enough for you, and then you want to create a plan based on the lessons that you learned, which is what we just talked about in step 2. Thanks for the love, by the way. You want to create a new plan based on the lessons that you've learned. So let me recap what I've shared with you so far. The first thing is, if you set goals for Q1 that you haven't achieved, but you want to own the rest of 2017, the first thing you want to do is make sure you master your psychology. You want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, managing your thoughts and managing your emotions, okay? This is something that we tend to forget to do, and it's critical that you're doing it consistently. And I'm not talking about sitting down once a week. I'm not even talking about sitting down at the end of the day and assessing your thoughts and your feelings, right? No, you want to do it in the moment. And the reason this is important is because you've noticed this. Let's say, for example, something negative has happened. If you don't check in with yourself, if you don't address that situation right there, what typically tends to happen is then something else negative will happen. We create this negative momentum. The minute our thoughts, our eyes, our focus is on a negative thing, we typically then create more negative experiences. However, if you can switch your focus on something more positive, you will then start creating more positive things. This is why it's important for you to master your psychology, which means staying on top of it in the moment, not waiting until things pile up, okay? We don't always do that, but that's the best advice for you, okay? The second thing is you want to make sure that whatever failures, whatever setbacks, you set the goal, but you didn't achieve it, you want to make sure that you're looking for the lesson that is present, because there is always a lesson that is present. And I just shared a story about a lesson totally unrelated to business, but I actually learned a lot about business and where I sometimes fall short. And it's really important that you look for those lessons, because there is gold in everything that we experience. If you say to yourself, and this is something I say to myself every single day, I see opportunities everywhere. That means even when I don't get what I think that I want, there is an opportunity there for me. There's something that I can learn from that experience. And that's what I would advise you to do. Look at every failure, look at every setback, anything that didn't go the way that you expected it to. Look for the lesson in it, because there is a lesson in it that will help you get closer to your goal, if not achieve that goal, okay? The third thing is you want to assess whatever the goal is. So was your goal for Q1 too big or too small, right? Get really clear on that for yourself, because if it was too big, then what kind of support do you need? What do you need to learn in order to achieve the goal next time? If it was too small, because you were playing small, what do you need to do to step it up? To allow yourself to step to the next level so that you can then achieve the goal, right? So those are 3 ways that you can make sure that you own 2017, even if you did not achieve your goals in Q1, okay? Now, here's another tip for you. Actually, this is actually a bonus for you, because I truly believe that anything is possible. I truly believe that no matter what you've experienced, no matter what circumstances you've been going through, whatever it is that you desire, you can still create. That's my belief system. That's what I teach my clients, and that's what I'm sharing with you. A couple of months ago, I recorded a training. Actually, it was more of a closed door case study on how I booked $50,000 in 2 weeks, specifically in 14 days. And it was awesome. And this was coming off of not always having great experiences in my business, having lots of ups and downs and up and down money months and, things not always going my way, but I was still able to book $50,000 in 2 weeks. And so I did a really powerful case study training on that I'm going to make available for you in my Facebook group. So if that's something that you're interested in, I really want you to take a look at it. You can steal my strategy and all that kind of stuff, but I want you to see it, because I want you to realize that even if you did not achieve, hey guys, thanks for the love. Even if you did not achieve your goals in Q1, know what's still possible for you. So if you want to hit 6 figures, if you want to hit multi-6 figures this year, you got a shit ton of time left, okay? So if you want access to that case study for free, I'm going to make it available for the rest of this week. You're going to find it in my Facebook group, which is called High-End Sales Badassery. Again, it's High-End Sales Badassery. So feel free to check it out there. And that's kind of all I had for you today. Does anyone have any questions for me before I wrap up? And thanks for the love, by the way, guys. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the love. Any questions before we wrap up? Hey, Isabel, Trisha, Michelle. How are you, ladies? Okay, so if no one has any questions, that's cool. Check out the case study that I'm making available to you. Steal the strategies that I used in that case study, and let me know if you have any questions. Shoot them at me. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Trisha. Shoot them at me in the comments below. Even if you go back and you're watching a replay, put your comments in and I'll be sure to reply to you. All right? Take care, guys. Thanks for joining.